So we're going to finish off talking about polarity. Again, you can pause the video if you need to copy down any of these structures, but otherwise we're just going to get into it. Remember that polarity is when we have the unequal sharing of electrons, and it's going to leave one of our ends charged positive and one of our ends charged negative. So when you approach a problem, look at the molecule. So we're going to start with this first one, H2O. Look at the molecule and think, do any of these want electrons more than a different element? Your O wants electrons more, so the electrons in the bond are going to be held closer to the O. Electrons are negative, so this O is going to have a partial negative sign by it. The H's are going to have partial positive because the electrons, the negative electrons, aren't as close to them, so it's going to be partially negative. So this element is going to have a partial positive part down at the bottom, and then the top part is going to be partially negative. So you'll notice it has a positive end, it has a negative end. That means that this is actually going to be a polar molecule. If you look at our next example, these O's both share electrons exactly equal in the bonds. Because they're sharing equally, there's no partial negatives, partial positives, so this one is going to be non-polar. If you look at our next example, I even wrote a little note that C and H want electrons the same amount. So they're going to share these electrons equally in these bonds. Because they're sharing all equally, it's going to be non-polar. Alright, these next two examples are a little bit harder, especially the last one. So just stay with me for those next ones. We have this N with these three H's. We know N wants electrons more than H, so it's going to pull the electrons in closer to itself. It's going to be partially negative. These H's are going to be partially positive. So we know that we're going to have a partial negative section up at the top, and that we're going to have partial positive sections kind of on the side and at the bottom. But we still have a negative end up at the top with a positive end down at the bottom. So it still is polar because we have the negative and the positive at different ends. Now our last one is a little bit trickier. So you will notice that we have C surrounded by 4 different Cl's. And so if we think about this, we know our Cl's want electrons more. So the electrons are going to hang out more on the outside part by those Cl's. That leaves each of our Cl partially negative, and our C in the middle partially positive. And so we're going to have a positive section in the middle of our molecule, and then we're going to have these negative sections all going around the outside of our molecule. So you'll notice that there's not a positive and a negative end to this one. So this one's actually going to be non-polar because there's no positive and negative end. The whole outside is negative. So hopefully this helps you figure out your homework, the polar and non-polar section. You just kind of have to think about if there's an end that is going to have a stronger density of electrons by it. Good luck finishing your homework. Like I said, only one worksheet. So hopefully, even though it was kind of a lot of videos today, you're able to finish up those worksheets pretty quick. Good luck. Please email me if you have any questions.